Adios is interesting. In an age where most games require some sort of addictive gimmick to keep the players interested, Adios takes a much more laid-back and novelistic approach. Instead of action-packed sequences and decisions that can decide the fate of the universe, this is simply the story of a pig farmer who has been disposing of bodies for the mob for years and is ready to call it quits. If you're interested in experiencing the last day of life in this man's shoes, then prepare yourself for a journey to rural Kansas. Adios begins at the crack of dawn with the farmer determined to resign from his role of human body disposal. The hitman, having heard this tired line countless times before, tries to deflect and get the farmer back on track. After years of their collaboration, the two have become closer and could be considered friends, despite the strange circumstances that brought them together. As the farmer reveals that he is done doing dirty deeds for the mob, the hitman humors him and spends his day doing chores on the farm to not only hear out the farmer's reason for wanting to quit, but also to remind him of the dire consequences of betraying the mob. The farmer shares anecdotes and trivial knowledge of American pigs, trees, cars, and vending machines, all of which fall on deaf ears. Regardless of the farmer's reasons, there is only one unavoidable fate that lies before him. The hitman listens attentively and even offers retorts on more than one occasion, but as the day nears its end, they agree to meet one final time in the evening for the farmer's swift execution. It's undeniable that the story is the main focal point of Adios. It takes an incredibly unique realistic approach to making choices that reflect the fact that sometimes choosing A over B doesn't quite change the world. In fact, Doc Squiddy, one of the writers for Adios, compared the choices we make as the gamer to a person deciding whether or not they should return their shopping cart. For the sake of this comparison, refusing to return the cart does not result in dire consequences for the shopper. It's just a matter of principle. In the end, the shopper will go home with their groceries one way or another, just as the farmer will meet his demise because of a much larger decision that was out of the player's hands. Every other choice is just an opportunity to explore the mind of a man that is attempting to repent for the evil he has done and who's ready to pay the ultimate wage of sin, death. From a visual standpoint, Adios is a bit inconsistent. The farm and surrounding land seem to soak up the sun and feel like they fit the part, but when paired with the smooth textures and lack of detailed facial expressions on the hitman, it truly impacts the immersion of the serious journey we're taken on. The janky animations while carrying out most of the chores result in funny distractions and an otherwise very thought-provoking and introspective experience. If I'm being honest, I wish they could have taken the same direction as the promotional artwork. A simple, cel-shaded design would have done the trick. However, they opted for a more horrifying route. The one example that stands out most is the bizarre-looking horse who loves his apples. This beast accomplished the unlikely mission of terrifying me and making me laugh all at the same time. Now if you find yourself playing this game, be sure to give him an apple for me. The stellar voice acting is yet another area where Adios excels. Rick Zeef just nails the country accent from start to finish, and DC Douglas' portrayal of a smug hitman in a suit just fits the part.
Besides, I had you.
Have. You still have.
As I've said, I'm no longer interested in that particular revenue stream.
These two have been featured as actors in many other popular games, including the Resident Evil series, Final Fantasy, and more. However, that's not to say that there's definitely the occasional issue with the volume, specifically that of the protagonist. There were several instances where honestly it was quite difficult to hear what he was saying despite the settings being maxed out. Also, because of the awkward pauses in between choices, the stops and starts seemed a bit unnatural. Most of the gameplay revolves around walking to various points of interest around the farm and carrying out chores. Each of the chores, ranging from petting the horse to shoveling manure, rely heavily on the point-and-click type interactions that serve to pass the time while the duo hashes out their side of the argument. Some of the chores like the skeet shooting and fishing certainly felt smooth, but others such as milking the goats and throwing horseshoes felt quite out of place, mostly because of the unrealistic physics or the finicky gameplay mechanic needed to perform the action. The prime example of this was the cooking session prior to the farmer's demise. Up to this point, every single objective was marked with visual indicators that would guide the player to trigger the next sequence, but near the end of the game, this logic completely goes out the window, and the player is forced to make guesses as to how to progress the game forward. The final task is to make a sumptuous Last Supper, if you will, and this was not only incredibly frustrating due to the broken mechanics, but also the lack of any guidance whatsoever. If we'd experienced any chores that were vaguely familiar, or if interacting with an item wouldn't simply drop whatever was in your hands, this could have been much less maddening and much more enriching. However, it was an absolute disaster. I spent a large chunk of time attempting to pick up ingredients that were lodged behind assets or unreachable, only to find out that I need to try a new recipe or reload a save. For any of you who have cooked in Adios, I honestly feel the pain that is unique to terrible mechanics and a lack of QA. Despite what anyone says, Adios is a video game. It's an interactive experience about a farmer who has made up his mind once and for all, and does an excellent job of placing us, the player, into the farmer's final moments. This is a game where your choices truly don't matter. It's not about saving the world, getting revenge, or escaping your fate. It's about acceptance, self-reflection, and embracing death. If you were given the choice, what would you have done differently? And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me know that you want more content just like this. Click on these videos here to continue your journey, and I'll see you when you get there. Consider becoming a patron for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, unboxing videos, sneak peeks of my retro gaming collection, and more. And until next time, it's the Inhuman one signing out. Join the Inhuman community today.